In 2019, YouTube channel Vivziepop created a pilot episode for an indie animated series called Hazbin Hotel, which to many showed great promise. They went on to produce Hell of a Boss, a show with a strong central premise where almost all episodes are framed around an assassination of some sort, with lore interspersed within. It seemed that Hazbin Hotel would be similar, a strong central premise about a hotel for has-beens who try to improve. After shopping the pilot to Netflix and other streaming services, things seemed dire for a year, until the show was picked up by producer A24 and distributed on Amazon Prime. The show has been the brainchild of Vivian Medrano for years, probably a decade. Videos from 8 years ago showing concept art for the characters or headcanons for who their voice actors might one day be are still around, and lore drops from before the show came out were released on the Vivziepop YouTube channel, like songs or tweets.
As far as Angel goes, can he play the accordion? Wasn't it the accordion that he could play, or I can't remember.
He can play the accordion. He can play the trumpet, I think was also the other one I had him play. He can play a few things, but probably not very well.
Indie animation is a darling medium, and this show represented a little bit of the entire culture. Medrano had created animatics and animated music videos, had original characters with insane loads of lore, and contributed to the animation community. Every part of independent web animation was represented a little or a lot in her work, so when this pilot took off in spite of its flaws, it was time for celebration.
I mean, what kind of reputation would I have if people found out I was trying to go clean?
The pilot episode showed us a sitcom where demons are rehabilitated in a hotel for has-beens. Hazbin Hotel, along with a cast of staff such as Boring, Cringe, and your least favorite friend's Discord profile picture. This hotel would act as a rehab where we would hopefully meet interesting characters and go on pleasant journeys. We'll see how well they stuck to their core premise later. The atmosphere at the time was that despite the pilot being scuffed and heavily criticized for things like playing a sound effect every 2 seconds,
fine. The highlighted heckabins.
Joy. Pleasure to so I'll keep here. Shit. Influential to give a fuck about what some tuck-swearing demon princess wants to advertise.
It showed great promise and was going to be the sign to professional media companies that independent web animators can create content that captivates mainstream audiences. No matter how much I make fun of the show in this video, I take no pleasure in telling you that that promise was tarnished. And the representation of indie animation from this show is an entirely unprofessional one. Hazbin Hotel was bad, and here's why. Hi, my name is Cassidy Whiskey. I love independent animation. As an autistic person, I've been obsessed with my own little worlds. I have probably tens of thousands of words written about a fantasy world I created called Nor when I was in the 6th grade, and continued to add to and sort and write about without creating anything publishable for years after, and it's been 8 years since then, a similar amount of time as Medrano. Over time, the ideas in my head have changed a lot, and there are so many events and ideas I could never really write about. It'd be too quick, or it'd be too slow, it wouldn't cover everything, or it would be bogged down in details. The world of Nor lives in my head alone, and I can never really write a book about it, or make an animation about it, or anything like that. I'm currently excavating some cool ideas for one of the villains into my next D&D campaign, and that's fine to me. I'm taking a good idea and trying not to overwhelm my players with the whole world, just one villain. I also have my science fiction world, Interstellar, a tale of intrigue and politics in the year 3300. A similar fate. I've tried my hardest to work it into an animated series twice, have too many ideas from constantly thinking about my characters and world, and I just could never really make it into anything without overloading the viewer completely. I overthought it, and now it's stuck in my head. As you'll see from my real content, such as Infinite Couplet and All the Wizards Died on my channel, short films that you don't need context for that deliver a thematic and emotional punch are the way to go, not in-depth paracosms nobody but me could understand. When I, or anybody, has tried to turn a large world-building project into an animation, it comes out being, let's be honest, shit. In my opinion, this is exactly what happened to Hazbin Hotel. Creating a proper narrative fell by the wayside in favor of getting 8 years worth of ideas and characters out into the world. Here's an example. In episode 5, a character named Mimsy appeared, who was so strange and weirdly written, I thought they were made as a messy side character for this episode, and that was fine. But then I learnt that Mimsy was one of the original OCs from 8 years ago in this voice actor headcanon video. This random side character who annoyed me and seemed irrelevant was part of the intense hyperfixation with this world, and her inclusion wasn't part of the story because she doesn't help the story, and as I'll explain later, hurts the story. Her inclusion was only because Medrano had this idea for a character, probably 8 years ago, never let them go, gradually fell in love with them and all the little details and backstory she invented for the character, and included Mimsy in the show because she needed to get her character out of her head and onto the page. That is some backstory for who I am, why I think I'm eligible to judge this work, and a brief introduction to Hazbin Hotel. This video will be cut into sections and timecodes in the description you can use. We'll first go episode by episode explaining the story for scene-specific nitpicks to remind you if you've forgotten or haven't seen it. I then have a brief notes section to tell you about some general things that wouldn't go anywhere else, and then my critiques, starting with the numerous writing problems, followed by the world-building problems, the animation problems, and the song problems. We then have a brief interlude to talk about the series' complicated relationship with being kinda racist, and then we will discuss the characters and characterization, the themes of rehabilitation, and a conclusion. This video is going to be best listened to while you do something else, though if you do focus and watch the video, you'll see examples from the show of what I'm talking about, interspersed within, and occasionally little details like notes. This was a really big project that's taken a lot of time, and I'm a small creator, so leaving a like, a comment, watching to the end, and even sharing with a friend would be appreciated. Even if you and that friend are just gonna laugh at me. Episode 1 begins with an opening narration that is really bad.
Once upon a time, there was a glowing city protected by golden gates.
Protected from what? And I've decided not to begin with a rant about this 1-minute opening being terrible, so that's all been moved to the world building section of this video. The series' goal has changed since the pilot. A new concept has been, or should I say, has been, introduced called extermination. Heaven comes down once a year to quell the population of hell, to stop an uprising. No longer are they rehabilitating for rehabilitation's sake, but to specifically prevent heaven from wanting to kill them by getting sinners into heaven. The show has 8 episodes and no filler, so there's genuinely no room for padding. Everything is full speed ahead, which causes things to go off the rails. While the beginning makes you think this first episode will be a standard sitcom plot where they're trying to make a commercial for the hotel, this quickly becomes the ignored B-plot, as our main character Charlie goes to talk with the angels because this serialized story needs to move forward.
Adam, sir? Mr. Adam, sir?
Call me Dickmaster.
Why do you say that? This character, Adam, as in literally Adam from Adam and Eve, sings a song. Hell is Forever, which has a pretty good chorus but suffers from a problem every single song has, where in any particular song you will have 2 characters singing at each other in a sort of song, fight, battle, genre mash weird thing. Adam is a sweary, sarcastic but sometimes angry, violent guy, just like everybody else because Medrano only knows how to write exactly one character and just gives them all a different face. In this episode we have 2 jokes where Adam is a hologram and she can't touch him.
Totally. Nice to meet you too. Ha! I fucking got you. My favorite. You'll love it.
Thanks.
I got you again, bitch!
Yet at the end of this scene, he throws her out of the room even though he's a hologram and has been shown twice that he cannot touch her. It feels like the complete opposite of like a standard setup reminder payoff. The setup is Adam is a hologram and they can't shake hands. The reminder is that Adam gives her these tasty wings, but she can't touch them. And then the payoff is that, oh no, he can touch her and push her out of the room and it's fine and who cares? Also, holograms never come up again in the show, just to show you what level of Chekhov's gun we're working with here. Despite what I said about the hotel plot being pushed to the side and given a minority of the screen time, despite being the central premise, it does come back for the ending of this episode. Charlie comes back to see they've made a commercial for her that isn't that bad. Awesome. Our first episode starts with a bad commercial and then ends with a good commercial, providing an arc for the hotel and showing how the hotel members work together to do something good and grew as people to overcome apathy and as a team to make Charlie happy. It would be really bad for the show's premise and the characters' arcs if they didn't show the commercial, and if to make up for this, the emotional moment had to be pushed back a bit too early so it feels clunky, and also Charlie magically knows they made a new commercial without anybody telling her because it's the only way to fit it in the scene where some news people say some shit we already know because it's recapping the A-plot of the episode we just watched. Right? It would be really bad if that happened, wouldn't it? Right? Okay, so I must be confused because tell me why they did that. After they mess up the ending, they do a cliffhanger ending. It turns out that an angel died during the last extermination. Now during the meeting, Adam says he's going to move extermination to 6 months from now instead of 1 year from now. However, during this scene, someone says, "Nah, let's get them. They killed one of our guys." And Adam is suddenly going, "No, we can't move up extermination, then they'll realize something suspicious is happening." So, planning to quell a rebellion before they can arm themselves is, quote, "going to cause an uprising." But publicly announcing your invasion will be 6 months from now is just completely fine.
No, we can't risk them catching on.
Nah, our story is so bland we need to lie to the audience to have a proper cliffhanger. Also, the series has this idea that everybody thinks angels are immortal, and when they find out an angel died, they realize that angels are killable, which is supposed to be a revelation. But for us, the audience, we saw a dead angel in episode 1. We find out angels are immortal from somebody telling us, and then you go, "No wait, I saw a dead one in the first episode." And then 2 seconds later somebody says, "Oh actually I killed one." And then everybody else knows. What this accomplishes is basically nothing, just a reason nobody's fought back before because nobody knew it was possible. But for the audience it just causes confusion. I think we need to get rid of the "we think angels are immortal" thing entirely, or just get rid of the scene with a dead angel so it works as a legitimate twist. Some general thoughts before we move on to episode 2. This character, Angel Dust, is doing the DreamWorks face the whole time. This character, Vaggie, also was scared of Alistair in the pilot, but off screen she just became neutral enough towards him to make these sassy remarks, even though in the pilot episode she's like terrified of him. Here's a big question. Why is Adam an angel if he like invented sin? You think he'd be in the downstairs place? And this is my most important note. Okay, so during this song, in the beginning, we're on the street and we're watching Charlie sing, and there's a transition, where we transition from one scene to the next by zooming in on this van, cutting to the tower on its image, and now we're at this tower. This is a fine transition from one scene to the next, but then it pans down from the tower back to Charlie singing, making the whole thing completely pointless. We transitioned from one scene back to itself. Deeply unnecessary and completely unserious. Episode 2 starts with our characters just kind of bumming around. Angel Dust gets some texts that go by really fast, so you don't see them, but if you do pause, you'll see they're from someone named Valentino. This is really plot important, so make sure you remember this guy. A character from the pilot named Lord Pensius shows up looking to fight, and he mentions he wants to join the V's, a very important faction in Hell who I think are going to end up being the main antagonists of Season 2, and who I didn't really understand my first time watching, but on a rewatch I managed to sort of clue together. An explanation for this important group would be helpful, which is why when somebody says, "Who are the V's?" another character says, "Oh, don't worry about it." The V's are this TV guy, Vox or something, Valentino, this is really plot important, so remember this guy, and Velvet, spelt like velvet. This setup doesn't really work. They're barely involved in the plot past this episode, apart from Valentino, who is really plot important, so remember this. And regardless of how they were set up, a character told us not to care. This episode just generally has a lot of setup for Valentino, who is very plot important, so remember him, he's a big deal. The company that TV Guy... that's not his name. No, I'm gonna call him that. The company that TV Guy has is called Vox Tech Enterprises. Babe, pick one. Vox Tech is fine. TV Guy is a sweary, sarcastic, but sometimes angry, violent guy, just like everybody else, because Viv only knows how to write exactly one character and just gives them all a different face. So TV Guy takes the elevator down at one point, but then he teleports. He can do that, so I'm not sure why he took the elevator. Then TV Guy talks to a lady. Oh, sorry, you've got a question? What does this have to do with the plot? Nothing. He's only important in this episode, and then he stops being relevant, and he doesn't actually do anything in this episode. It just sets him up, and then there's like no payoff. He doesn't actually do anything. Then he talks to this lady, Velvet, who is saying no to all these dresses because she's like a stock archetype of a fashion designer with no thought behind her, until she eventually sees a dress that's just a completely different style to everything else, and she goes, yes, that one. Which makes me wonder why she was looking at dresses in this modern style if she was specifically looking for a dress in this gothic Lolita style. This episode has a new bad song. It gets a bit better after a key change.
Discussing a certain has-been who has been spotted cavorting around town after a 7-year absence. Did anybody miss him? Did anybody notice? More on tonight's program. So the radio demon is back in town. Why is he hanging around? What does that mean for your family? Well, Handley, I've got good news. He's a loser, a fossil, and I don't mean to sound hostile, but the demon is a coward!
I saw a YouTube video about how this song is actually the best setup ever, and I couldn't disagree more. The song is mostly pointless with no impact on the story apart from getting out all of Medrano's ideas from the last few years, like, what if there's a TV guy to contrast Alistair being a radio guy? We also get some hints at Alistair's backstory and lore, but no actual reveals or lore drops for either character, leaving it undoubtedly interesting and entertaining, but vapid without any real context. You can't watch and engage because it's just intrigue. You can't think or guess. You can just watch and hope you eventually get an answer, or anything at all, so you can start to speculate. To highlight what I mean, here's an example. Alistair has a lore drop in episode 5, and then again at the end of episode 8, that he's on some kind of leash, controlled by someone else, and how he yearns to be free. This is one of the main points of intrigue around him, the mystery of who he is, but we have no possible answers to think about. No character we know has control over him, not even Lucifer, not even the angels really know about him. So, who's controlling Alistair? The answer is obvious. It's somebody off screen we haven't met yet. The answer to Alistair's intrigue is wait and find out. You can't really consider the mystery of Alistair because we have so little information, all we can do is wait. Obviously it's somebody we haven't met yet, but we can't speculate on who they are or what they're like or why this deal that trapped Alistair happened, because we haven't been introduced to them yet. Proper intrigue would contain possibilities, not just unsolvable mysteries. Things to think about and ponder within the fandom. The most concrete piece of evidence we have is that Alistair went missing for 7 years, but also Charlie's mum disappeared 7 years ago, so maybe they're kind of somehow connected. I mean, they must be, right? Because they're both specifically highlighted as being gone for 7 years, so they've got to be connected somehow. But we don't know how. All we can do is sit and wait because we have absolutely no information to go off of. I'm not going to go look into Hazbin fan theories for this video, but if I did, I can't imagine I'd find sensible people or real answers. In this song, they also do a TV parody. This news company controls the media in hell, kind of. I mean, they imply they do, but they also have journalists from rival news companies come in like a huge horde. And the only news channel we've actually seen was the 666 News, which is, as far as I can tell, not affiliated with Fox Tech Enterprises. So I think that this is just them being stuck with a news channel they wrote on during the pilot and having Fox come in later. This is from the Hazbin Wiki. It is considered the main and best newscast there is in hell. Regardless, the show attempts a parody of television and media manipulation which forgoes relevant or interesting commentary on monopolies or manufactured consent, which would be especially interesting because Fox has hypnosis powers and his accomplice Valentino is a pimp, so manufactured consent would be a double entendre here that actually could have been very funny. Instead of those interesting choices on commentary, it decides to go, ho ho ho, TV is like a religion. Weak.
fucking weak, dude!
Now, I said before that they have this problem where they'll mash genres as people sing against each other, and here I could excuse that. Here, having Alistair rap like the TV guy would be kind of out of character. It would be better to have him sing a ragtime song or something akin to the music in the Fallout series. But he does. He sings this poppy rap adjacent song. It's not bad at all. It's quite a good song. But it's a missed opportunity and a bit of an anachronism. It's also fine that he's matching the genre of TV guy, so there isn't this weird genre mashing that the show's songs often have. But he ends the song by singing to himself, and they maintain the same beat and rhythm. His part at the end is slow and creepy, and it does suit him, and I don't think it's bad. But I think it's a missed opportunity to characterize a guy who walks around with a 1950s microphone in his hand and whose whole idea is 1950s jazz radio. Where's the jazz, Madrano? TV guy's voice is also wickedly uncool. The louder he yells, the more muted it becomes.
Oh, Alistair, you little shit, you. Ooh, I'm gonna really get ya. I'm gonna really get ya. Let me sing really loud about how I'm gonna get ya.
Oh, Alistair, I really hate you. I really hate you so much.
This song also, canonically, went for 6 hours. Back at the hotel, Angel Dust remarks 6 hours have passed. And now we finished the lore stuff, which was half the episode, and had nothing to do with the Hazbin Hotel in the show's damn name. It was just about this TV guy and his beef with Alistair, and TV it's like a religion.
Things people watch and enjoy are like a religion. Sports is like a religion. One time I went to a music concert and everybody clapped. Music is like a religion.
At the start of the episode, a character named Lord Penchus from the pilot appeared to fight the cast. He fought Angel Dust in the pilot and he fights Alistair in this episode. He comes back for the hotel segment and asks to be rehabilitated. You should get excited because despite being the second episode, this is actually the last time they take on a new client to rehabilitate them. And all of it happens off screen with him basically immediately turning into a huge softie. Angel Dust has been in this system for a while, and he begins to get a bit sad. This show has a problem with telling us everything and never showing us, but Angel Dust's complicated feelings here are quite interesting. Without being explicitly told, his actions show us that he feels replaced. He feels like he's hard work, or a test dummy, or not a real patient here.
I'm just so excited to have our first real guest.
What the hell am I then?
He feels like he wants the kind of progress and attention Lord Penchus is getting.
Wow, Benches, at this rate, you'll be redeemed in no time.
I'm going to bed.
Or that his rehabilitation is being damaged to uplift Penchus.
Oh, I'm a bad man on the streets who never got enough hugs. Now, where's an innocent kid I can sell crack to? Wow, who wrote this?
Not me. I have to go home and study.
Come on, kid. It'll make you cool like me. The crackhead.
He feels replaced. There's some complex feeling about rehabilitation here, and I can talk about that more in the Angel Dust section. So, say goodbye to that, because this is the last time we get subtext more complex than a 6th grade reading level. Not even subtext, but even the text doesn't give us anything half as emotional as this. But luckily for Angel Dust, it turns out Penchus was sent by TV Guy, the last time he's going to be relevant this whole season, to spy on the hotel and kill Alistair, the world's most specialist boy. So Angel Dust doesn't have to reckon with his complex emotion, and doesn't even have to prove it, because the moment that he gets caught, despite having plausible deniability, Penchus instantly gives up and confesses everything, because, and this is a theory, the episode is dragging on too long because of all the TV Guy stuff, and they need to wrap up the hotel plot as quickly as possible, so they can't actually put a third act in this plot. While it should be Act 1, Angel feels replaced, Act 2, Angel discovers Pentious is bad, but the main characters take Pentious's side and make Angel feel even more isolated, and then Act 3, where he finally proves himself and is welcomed back in and apologized to. Instead of that, he just feels replaced, discovers Pentious is bad, and immediately Pentious admits he was bad, and nobody apologizes to Angel, and his feelings all disappear, and Pentious is immediately welcomed back into the hotel as a real guest, and all of that conflict with Angel Dust feeling mistreated or replaced disappears magically, as if Pentious being a spy was the only reason Angel Dust felt replaced, and not the much realer reason that they were sabotaging Angel Dust's rehabilitation to make Pentious feel like he's growing. This sucks! This whole thing sucks, and it's not the last time this mismanaged event will impact the story. It goes on to have further ramifications, and oh boy, I will talk about those damn ramifications. After Pentious gets forgiven for trying to destroy the hotel, and is let back into their hotel within seconds, they sing a song about how you need to say sorry, though he never says what he's sorry for. This is an incredibly strange tone problem. This show, where demons in hell wearing BDSM gear say curse words you can't say on American television, is also singing about how you need to say sorry like a Sesame Street episode? If this was the standard, where each episode had a kind of campy moral at the end with its sitcom formula about rehabilitating people, it would work. Maybe. But this is the only time this happens, and it feels like we just blinked into the Paw Patrol universe. General notes on the episode: there's a dog that appears very occasionally, is never properly spoken about, and I don't know all of when it appears, but it appears in this episode. It's in the title sequence, if you can call it that, but it's another one of these things Medrano intended for you to recognize because it's part of the logo and it appears occasionally, but you never notice it. I saw it twice on my first watch through and 3 times on my second. It's not a cute mascot, it's just a strange artifact of the weird way this show was created backwards. There's a part where TV Guy talks to these journalists, so that makes me wonder why you would go to hell and then say, yeah, you know what? I'll be a journalist. Moreover, I wonder who goes to hell and says, yeah, I trust the journalists here. There's a part where Angel Dust says this.
Who wrote this?
Yeah, I'm gonna get a lot of mileage out of that. This episode ends with Alistair telling the TV guy, you'll have to try harder if you want to kill me, setting up the dynamic for all their future interactions. This is, of course, their last interaction in the show, and the radio show that Alistair just set up to compete with TV Guy never becomes plot relevant after this.
Who wrote this?
Moving on.
Time for me to fight you. Let's introduce 4 more named characters.
Episode 3 follows the same formula of over-the-top lore drops and canon scenes overtaking the show's central hotel premise. The hotel plot in this is about trust. They do trust falls, for example, and the episode begins with Pentious building a big gun because he has the genuinely real concern that all the niceness he's received recently is fake. This is a pretty good bit of characterization for a person who's never felt truly safe, or who's adjusted to the life of a supervillain the show tells us he's lived up until this point. If you disagree that this show is about rehabilitation, maybe my arguments for how bad it is at handling it fall flat for you. But the show's central premise, it has told us, is about a hotel to rehabilitate sinners into good people, and it sings songs about how you need to say sorry. The point is, to me, clearly supposed to be about rehabilitating, if not about rehabilitation. So I nonetheless think it's a flaw in the show when they completely fumble attempts at showing rehabilitation in favor of mean, spiteful bullshit. So, okay. Pentious is not used to people being nice to him and is having a defensive, self-destructive trauma reaction. How does the show react to this character expressing a trauma response? Of course, it's a show about rehab, so it would need to respond positively to educate the audience on responses to trauma reactions like this, and to set the tone that the hotel is a safe place. Okay, listen, if you want to watch a show that's actually about rehabilitation, you should watch BoJack Horseman's 6th season. In fact, you should just watch BoJack Horseman instead. The moment I finish this video, I'm going through the whole 6th season again as a deep, deep soul cleanse from this trash, because the reaction to Pentious' trauma is to cut to a quick montage of everybody giving him the middle finger and Faggy telling him to suck it up. This character Faggy is the surrogate Charlie for when she's not around, and is characterized as wholeheartedly believing in Charlie's ideas of rehabilitation. Guys, in the episode 1 minute has passed. Pinchas buys weapons from an arms dealer named Camilla Carmine, who shows up later in this episode, and their weapons dealing is a major plot point in the 7th episode, so when you're rewatching it's a bit of a hey, look kind of moment. There's not so much of this recontextualizing when you rewatch it because the plot is so bland, and the backstories and mysteries are mostly unanswered, so there's very little things you only notice on a rewatch, apart from all the mistakes. He also purchases weapon parts after he built the giant gun. Charlie organizes trust falls. This is a perfect opportunity for everybody to characterize themselves. They say something, they jump, who catches them, and how do people react. Charlie would be the person most enthusiastic to catch people, you'd believe, but when it's this character Nifty's time to jump, Charlie moves away and lets her fall. All for this one unfunny joke where somebody hits their head. They sacrifice the characterization of Charlie, the good character who's trying to earnestly earn everybody's trust. Like, I can't... Imagine you were in rehab and you did trust falls and your instructor dropped you on purpose. Now, in this case, Nifty isn't in rehab but is a staff member, but nonetheless the joke of, ooh, nobody wants to catch Nifty because she's so crazy, was not funny, and it came at the expense of Charlie's characterization. It's unnecessarily mean, it's unnecessarily spiteful, it harms Charlie's characterization because it makes her look like an asshole, and it makes this whole rehabilitation effort look pointless.
Who wrote this?
Angel Dust began to feel replaced, as you might remember, in the last episode, and in the next episode we get some of his backstory and meet his abuser, Valentino, who is very plot important. So remember, Angel Dust could have a nice arc here as he feels less connected to the hotel because of his negative feelings in one episode, and the subsequent episode could have him easier to manipulate by his abuser, maybe even falling back into his abuser. This would be a really good arc conjoining two parts of the story. I already mentioned it undermined Angel Dust's arc in episode 2 when he was immediately vindicated, became okay with being replaced when nothing was changed, and wasn't really apologized to. But it undermines this larger arc when smack dab in the middle of Angel Dust's feeling replaced episode and Angel Dust's focal episode is this fucking piece of shit episode 3 garbage where they spend the whole time going to clubs and doing trust exercises and giving Angel Dust lots of special attention. Yes, he deserves rehabilitation, but there is a much cleaner arc with this episode removed, with Angel Dust feeling replaced in episode 2 and then being easily manipulated by his abuser to cause the events of episode 4. Instead, because this episode establishes that Angel Dust feels perfectly fine and gets tons of rehab time and all his emotional depth in episode 2 has been pointlessly wiped, Angel Dust ends up having his very special episode begin not with his complex feelings at the hotel making him ripe for abuse, but because he got a text. He got a text on his phone, and that's how the next episode starts. I decided to include this in episode 3's summary because it just pisses me off. The ease at which good writing choices could have been made but weren't, like strings lying around untied, is insane. Was the gang doing trust falls in combat to build trust and going to a BDSM club worth what was lost in the connective tissue of writing choices? Then we go to the lore. The lore. Look guys, I found the lore. There's a meeting between the overlords, who are basically gang leaders, and there's a few cool designs. I like this doll lady, but there's this annoying velvet girl. She's the second of the V's, the first being TV Guy, and the third being Valentino, who's really plot important, so don't forget about him. Velvet is a sweary, sarcastic, but sometimes angry, violent woman, just like everybody else, because Medrano knows how to write exactly one character and just gives them all a different face. This whole thing is mostly a load of white noise and bloat that could be really easily cut down. This Velvet girl is annoying and she comes here to represent the V's and convince others to go to war against heaven. She found the decapitated angel head somehow and wants a war. I'll cover why this makes no sense in the writing section. It is genuinely cool how in episode 1 the angels have discovered a body without its head, and here we find that Velvet has a head with no body. It's kind of neat. They have a big song, Respectless, with the bad genre mashing thing they do, and these two ladies sing against each other.
Did you expect us to sit back and take your insolent brazen display? You've got it twisted. I'm not the one who needs a new
It ends very dramatically with this lady Camilla on the defense and Velvet on the offense, the music building up, she's grilling her, she's pushing harder, the song ratchets up the tension, leading to the moment where Velvet cracks Camilla's defense and exposes the secret she's been hiding the whole episode, but before she can do that, Camilla says, "This meeting is over," and Velvet goes, "Aw, oh no, the meeting's over. Oh, I can't expose you now." And then she shrugs and she leaves.
Thanks to my being respectless, one thing I'm starting to suspect is you know why this angel's headless. Do you have a disclosure? This meeting's over.
That was a productive meeting.
Fine. Safe travels back to the nursing home, fuckers.
Camilla's secret does come out, but Velvet's reason for wanting a war with the Angels is never explained, and when she gets an opportunity to have a war against the Angels, she doesn't take it. She explicitly is there and chooses not to take the opportunity. She's given this motivation purely to move along the plot. Guys, if Velvet wouldn't do this, don't make her do this. Find another character to pressure Camilla with. They're trying to write this political thriller about the Overlords debating something with super high stakes, but they only gave one of them a reason to believe the thing they believe, and have to just assign the opposing view to a random character or faction and have somebody to debate with instead of having the debate naturally. Camilla is honestly proven correct by the narrative. Her view is that if we attack the Angels, they'll go after us specifically, and she's right. The more Charlie presses the Angels, the harder they hate her. First by moving extermination closer, and then by choosing to attack the hotel directly. Camilla is correct here, but her complacency isn't. The interesting choice would be to have somebody call her selfish, for letting extermination continue when she could help fight it just because she wants to avoid having a target on her back. Instead of an interesting debate between two sides who are, in their own ways, correct, and have a reason to believe what they do, they have this pointless, genre-mashed, bad singy song.
But I'm that hashtag bitch.
And I know that they know that. I know that they know that this debate should be better. I know that they know how to write something like this, because in my positive example, I am almost perfectly describing the debate between Vaggie and Camilla in episode 7. This episode chooses to kneecap themselves for no reason, just to... I'm not sure why. Show off Vivzie's awesome OC Velvet? Maybe it's to establish the V's more, since episode 2 is about TV Guy and episode 4 is about Valentino, but the V's are never relevant in this season, past the episode where they, as a faction, interact with Camilla and Alistair. It's all just so pointless, and it makes me so confused. The choices the writers are making seem completely illogical. Right? Am I just stupid? What am I missing?
Who wrote this?
They do more trust exercises, so Angel is not ignored again. That arc is in tatters. They also bring Husk along to their trust exercises, including throwing him into combat. Even though he's not a patient, he is a member of the staff, and by the end they all bond. Wow, they kind of stuck to their central premise for an entire episode. Almost. There's also a duet in this one where Vaggie sings about protecting Charlie, and Camilla sings about protecting, I think, this spider guy? They get a duet because they both have the vague concept of, like, protecting someone. Okay, if you can tell me what she just says right here, I'll pay for your lunch tomorrow. What the fuck did she just say? This one is Angel Dust's very special episode. Angel Dust has no real reason to return to his abuser since the obvious potential for an interesting arc was dashed by episode 3's bullshit, so instead of having an emotional reason to do anything, the episode has him get a phone call which tells him to go to his work while he is showing porn to his friends as a reminder to the audience of what his job is. And I'll discuss the sexualization of Angel Dust at a later point, but my general thoughts are that hypersexuality is completely fine, but the writers do not understand why Angel Dust would be appealing in universe and are only making him an out-of-universe joke, which I find immature. Husk calls Angel Dust fake, which specifically pisses him off because As we'll see through the episode, mostly through a lot of the show telling us rather than showing us so we can figure it out ourselves, Angel Dust uses his being an actor as a way to distract from his problems.
I see right through you and all this bullshit and how fake you are.
Oh, me? Fake? Wow, I had no idea. Guess that's why I'm an actor, dumbass.
He is fake, and that's part of his escapism. He has to be. He puts on a big show all the time so he doesn't have to confront his real feelings. That's why the fact he keeps this characterization despite his arc for this season being about escaping his abuse and finding comfort in the hotel is kind of disturbing to me. But also why being insulted by Husk calling him fake hurts him so deeply. He laughs it off at first, but it bubbles up a minute later. It's the deepest characterization we've gotten so far.
It's not an act! It's who I need to be. And this is my escape. I'm fine. I ain't the floor!
Angel Dust has to work on short notice and has to go to the very important foreshadowed character Valentino. Charlie wants him to have more time in the hotel, so decides to leverage her position as Princess of Hell to get him time off. Angel says, "No, don't do that, please. This is going to make my life worse if you try this, and if you piss off Valentino, I'm going to be the one who's punished." Undisturbed by the correct advice of her friend, the selfish, privileged, and stupid Charlie antagonize Valentino, and exactly what Angel Dust said would happen happens, though the show paints this as Charlie being naive, rather than the selfish privilege she actually displays. We also meet Valentino, who is so important, and no, I'm fucking with you, he is the most boring, stock pimp archetype in anything I have ever seen. He is every trope about pimps and nothing further. He is the cliche porn director from his costume to his characterization. I can't stress enough how much of a nothing burger he is. There is nothing interesting about his character apart from an Italian accent, and if I find out that there actually is something very interesting about him that they didn't show us, like on the wiki or something that Madrano tweeted about, I'm just going to be more pissed that they didn't put that in the actual show. This episode has a genuinely disturbing depiction of abuse, as Angel Dust is punished for Charlie antagonizing Valentino, and Angel Dust's performance really shines. The more his actor gets distressed, the more he drops the femme-leaning sex voice and becomes a very regular guy with a New York accent, and that vulnerability really shines through, which is why I'm pretty sure Madrano did not write that. This had to be an acting decision because the only other thing that is like this is something that I think Madrano wrote accidentally, the Anthony reveal, which I'll tell you about in a second. Angel Dust, who is a porn star and sex worker, gets hit and bruised, which you think Valentino would want to avoid since he's supposed to be a charismatic charmer, not a violent thug, and Angel Dust has to be on tape all night. He can hit Angel Dust, I have no problem with that in the story as long as it's worth the fact it's there, which here, it's only in there as a shock factor, and it makes Valentino seem like an angry loser who can't find a way to punish Angel Dust without fucking up his face for the rest of the shoot. It makes him look unintelligent, it makes him look like a poor manipulator, and it makes him look like a dumbass who thinks bruising someone you're about to film for 16 hours is a good PR move. Again, he is an abuser, so he should be abusive, but this dumbassery makes him look like he's not good at being an abuser. He's not slick if this is how he hurts Angel Dust, when there are smarter options, or even just controlling his temper until after the shoot. Angel Dust sings a song, Poison, which I believe is one of the most popular. Go find that tweet about the kids at the party listening to this song. This kind of song is not moving the plot, and in a musical it would be used to characterize him, but we've already got 3 episodes of characterization for him that is identical to this. Neither is it a good depiction of abuse or a good story, it is just a song with no narrative elements, only character. And we aren't out of touch with Angel Dust and need this song to understand his feelings. We get it. We know what it's like, he just got abused. The most potent part of this episode to me was the Anthony reveal I'll talk about in a second, and this song was, again, just a bit of a nothing burger. I disagree with people who say this song isn't trying to depict rape or abuse. They say that it's trying to depict the endpoint of a hypersexual lifestyle. It may have been how it started for him, but you can't watch this and tell me it's something he consented to, when it's obviously supposed to be him stuck in this life past however long he originally wanted it. To that end, I do think it represents abuse, I just don't think it does it well. I feel it does it in a way that is fetishistic. Hypersexuality in art is an incredibly potent tool. In fact, being fetishistic in art is an incredibly potent tool, and artists can use these tools to their advantage, and I have myself. Disconnected from the story, where it is an unnecessary tumor, this is a pretty good music video. I'm not sure why this just okay music video is in this TV show, instead of like, you know, some writing, or maybe a story. Angel Dust is abused all night, comes home, gets triggered by Husk, and then Husk is the one the narrative acts like is responsible when Charlie is the one who got it punished, obviously. She doesn't apologize to Angel Dust until the end of the episode, and she cries about it all bawling and stuff, but it's after Angel Dust's arc for the episode, so he very calmly accepts. Before being triggered and leaving, Angel asks Husk for, quote, the hardest you can make. Husk is the bartender of this rehab, of course, but the hardest you can make is spirits. He's just asking for spirits. He should just ask for spirits. The fact he says that line as opposed to pour me an overproof rum or give me some absinthe, to me that's a sign that this is a show for kids with very surface level grown-up things. Ooh, look kids, you're so cool for watching our funny demon show. You're so mature. Oh, but you don't know what absinthe is. Right, you're only 14. Okay, we'll have to change this Angel Dust dialogue to say, the hardest you can make. Sure. This wiki contains material not suited for children. If you're under 13 years old, the minimum age requirement in most countries, please click away immediately. Holy shit, they know it's a kid's show and they're trying to say this whole minimum age thing because they know only 13-year-olds are going to find it badass. Not to draw a direct comparison, but on BoJack Horseman, his alcoholism is addressed directly. Alcohol bottles, types, and brands are a frequent part of the show, and often under-discussed for how effective they are in the story. BoJack drinks absinthe at one point, and the results of that decision have him steal the D in the Hollywood sign while drunk, to which the town stays being called Hollywood for the rest of the show. For the next 6 seasons, you are, yes, laughing at the funny recurring gag.
Live from the historic Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip, J.D. Salinger presents Hollywood stars and celebrities. What do they know? Do they know things? Let's find out!
But also reminded of the bad decision that BoJack made while under the influence of absinthe.
Give me a bottle of something to help me forget my problems. Oh, maybe not that strong. What is this, breakfast? Yeah, that's about right. Well, that worked effectively. Give me a bottle of something to help me forget my problems.
I need a drink. The hardest you can make.
Angel Dust has self-destructive behavior from his trigger and almost accepts a drug to drink. Husk stops him and saves him, and they sing a song called Loser Baby. This song is the trope, or even cliche, of someone giving advice, but it's bad advice. But it helps. Like, yeah, you're a loser, get used to it, and then that motivates the other character. I find this motivating sometimes when I feel like the world is against me. Being told that I'm not really that special and I'm just one woman makes me feel a lot better. Nobody's out to get me, because I'm just not that special. It's a common trope in media, but it honestly does not work here. It doesn't work firstly because the whole thing started by Angel Dust being insulted by Husk, being called fake specifically. Oh, you're upset I insulted you? Here, let me sing a song about what a loser you are. And secondly, because the point is quite obscured. He was self-loathing. He knows he's a loser. The song's change in Angel Dust's attitude is massive, but the song provides nothing that would actually change Angel Dust's attitude. The point of the song is that Angel Dust has a shitty life, so he pretends to be someone he's not, and Husk calls him fake, and Husk sings that he should just be proud about having a shitty life. Them growing closer through this song, perfectly fine, but the character growth Angel receives from it is completely out of place and over-exaggerated. What changed? What difficulty did Angel Dust actually overcome? Essentially, they said Angel Dust would start the episode being fake, and end the episode not caring and being themselves, but then they didn't write the emotional journey needed to get from one place to the other, or any kind of trial that Angel Dust could overcome with his new attitude that he couldn't before. All that changed is he isn't fake anymore. This song is a nice song, and I don't think it needs to be changed all that much. I just think they act like it's a huge turning point for Angel's character when nothing really happened in it. He accepts it's okay to be a coked up, dick-sucking hoe, which it is, yeah, but this isn't a radical change in Angel Dust's character. He wasn't ashamed of being a coked up, dick-sucking hoe before. They do not understand the sex appeal in regards to Angel Dust. His whole deal is that he says daddy all the time, he acts like a porn star in his everyday life, and then you realize he acts like that in his porn too. So for example, he has one where he's being interrogated and his co-star says, "Well, I'll have to fuck the information out of you." To somebody watching this in-universe, the sex appeal is the lack of consent and the fact he's a victim, but Medrano can only write one character, so the idea of Angel Dust changing characterization while he plays a character is impossible. So despite acting like a victim, the moment that the sex scene starts, he starts saying, "Ooh, daddy." It's like the show got flanderized in its first season, and considering that Angel Dust has been one of Medrano's special little boys since she was in college, I think it genuinely was that Angel Dust got flanderized. I don't think they need to make him sexy to us, the audience, but the idea of his character is that he's this porn star gangster. If he's gonna be this submissive slut you paint him as, then he needs to retain this characterization into his job. When I see the 3 scenes of him acting in which he says daddy in every one of them, regardless of context or what kind of situation he's in, my thoughts aren't, wow, he's so sexual, I'm laughing so hard. It's, wow, he's a bad actor. This show is so sexless. Like, I really can't exaggerate this. For a show with so much focus on BDSM aesthetics, this show is incredibly virgin core. It's a deeply sexless show for how often they make sex jokes or even show sex on screen. The benefits of having indie animation reach the big screen is having taboo subjects only indie cinema can depict, like BDSM or positive hypersexuality. But instead the show just has a very lame depiction of sex and no depictions of the BDSM lifestyles it uses for its aesthetics until it wants to demonize it. It's not a positive thing when I say this show is more virgin core than 50 Shades of Grey, the most sexless, sourceless thing I've ever seen. My fix is to just make Angel Dust feel like a real character who knows about and enjoys sex and knows how to act instead of a bad actor who doesn't know what he's doing as he bumbles around with his ass out. I really do blame this on the show having exactly one character it can write, sarcastic but not witty, sexual but not free, easily angered. Anyways, here's Angel Dust holding his gun wrong. I don't have a criticism here, I'm just confused. Is he holding the stock? Is he left-handed? Why isn't he holding the front grip? I'm not a gun girl, it's just weird to me. Okay, I want to talk about the Anthony thing. As Angel Dust gets more and more distressed, this usual voice he has,
fake you are.
Oh, me? Fake? Wow, I had no idea.
slips into his regular, less performative voice.
Val, I didn't know Val, Val, please, I'm sorry. You bring her. Just stop.
Angel, what are you talking?
Charlie, leave.
The performance is dropping and the real, scared person inside is coming out. It's incredibly humanizing. In the Hazbin world, there are characters with names like Husker, Nifty, Lord Pentious, Vaggy. So it's assumed that weird names are just normal. Angel Dust is Angel Dust. Maybe you thought about why that's his name, or maybe, like me, you just accepted that this is a world where people have weird names and that's normal. So this unmasking of Angel Dust's outer, sexy stage persona to the frightened man with a New York accent inside is what humanizes him. And then we see the contract he signed when he first joined Valentino. It isn't signed Angel Dust. It's signed Anthony. I think this is fucking genius. The final step to this humanization is to reveal Angel Dust is the stage name, to fully unmask him by showing the audience his real name for the first time. I cannot get over how good I think this decision was. I'm not sure Medrano realizes it was good. Anthony being his name, I learned, was public information from outside the show. Medrano posts art of her characters and talks about them, and people compile information about the characters on the wiki for years. The wiki has concept art and information we know about Angel Dust's twin sister and his older brother and his dad, who all ended up in hell. Yeesh. So the fact that she let this reveal go early means that for the most die-hard fans, the people who deserve the best Hazbin content, this twist wasn't a twist. The experience I got should be the norm. Revealing all the information about your characters before your show is out further makes this feel less like a story and more like an info dump of an amateur artist showing you their OCs. I think if you watch this show for the first time without knowing anything else about the universe, realizing his real name is Anthony and Angel Dust is his stage name is an evocative reveal that humanizes him and goes hand in hand with all other choices made in that scene, like his distressed voice and his accent becoming more prominent, and all that humanization makes the scene better when Valentino abuses him because it feels so real. But for the biggest fans of the show, they didn't get that experience. They knew who Valentino was for years, they knew his name was Anthony for years, they knew Valentino was abusive because they'd seen other dubiously canon music videos Medrano posted on her YouTube. I wanted to end episode 4's discussion on a positive note, with this genuinely great piece of writing and characterization, but unfortunately, the wider effects of the way this show's story was distributed have harmed one of its best aspects. To me, that is a shame. Gosh, that was a long discussion, wasn't it? Okay, after all that, we can have this much shorter one for this episode on account of it being boring as shit. So Charlie is upset that nothing's working, even though she's apparently tried everything to rehabilitate these sinners. Which she does in front of the sinners, which I'm sure doesn't make them feel bad at all. I'll just remind you that so far, here's Charlie's contribution to the betterment of the other characters. Episode 1, she wasn't involved, did not do any rehab, fucked off to a meeting, came home, and they had an arc without her. 0 people came to a hotel as a result of this commercial that they made, by the way. Episode 2, she ignored Angel Dust and focused on a brand new patient, which did work. Episode 3, they did one trust exercise, and for episode 4, she got one of her clients physically assaulted by their boss. You're telling me she tried everything? Do the Penchas stuff that worked, but do it on Angel Dust, because it clearly worked on Penchas. It's not a nitpick or a plot hole, it's just what you observe watching the show, that none of this works because this hotel is irrelevant to the story, so acting like it's had tons of screen time and, oh, we've tried everything is false. Saying that we've tried everything is just telling us that the interesting stuff we came here to see all happened off screen. And furthermore, if we can't watch the sinners be rehabilitated by the Hazbin Hotel, that means that the bad guys are right. That means that the angels who come and kill the demons every year, that means that they're right. If they can't be rehabilitated, which is their point, and we never actually see proof that they can be rehabilitated, they're proven right. Now, I do think that the demons could be rehabilitated because they're just people, but, you know, in the show, they're basically proven right, you know? And at this point, the plot of the show becomes entirely dedicated to Charlie against Heaven, and the hotel angle is basically dropped now that Angel Dust had his song and dance. Charlie thinks her ideas aren't working and wants Heaven's help, but she needs a meeting, and from here, the plot is completely linear. Episode 5, she works, sarcastic quotes, to get a meeting. Episode 6, she has the meeting and fails. Episode 7 is preparing for the finale, and then episode 8 is the finale action sequence. Little else happens. The plot of this episode is, when you take away the extremities that pointlessly make it 20 minutes, calling her dad Lucifer to get a deal to meet up with Heaven. The series presents Charlie as if she has, daddy issues?
What's the holdup? You got daddy issues?
She tries to work through her daddy issues by fixing you.
Princess is a bleeding heart who wants to solve everybody else's problems except her own.
But she really doesn't. This is all them telling us, we never once see it, and the plot of this episode is her calling her dad and inviting him over. So this episode should be the perfect opportunity to show her issues with her dad, her mental problems, maybe her traumas, maybe why she's motivated to run this hotel in the first place, because, as the show keeps telling us, she started it to fix other people so she doesn't have to fix herself. Her dad is supposedly a deadbeat, but when she calls him, he instantly is excited to come over, and they excitedly hang out, and there's no real deadbeatiness, there's no daddy issues, they're a very normal, loving family. I'm not giving this enough focus. The show has repeatedly told us that Charlie has a complicated relationship with her dad and is using the hotel to make up for it, and the Meet Your Dad episode of the show has no emotional complexity throughout the entire thing. It feels like even the most basic, tropey plots in fiction, they can't get right.
Who wrote this?
There's one bit where, unexplainably, Lucifer gets really angry at a wall.
What in the unholy hell is that?
Really unclear why this was written. It feels like an inside joke we're supposed to pick up on, but we didn't get any prior context for this wall. I believe this wall keeps getting blown up when people make dramatic entrances into the hotel and they keep repairing it so it looks scuffed. But why is he, like, screaming about how ugly it is? Did it scare him that there were some wood planks? It just looks like a normal wall. Nothing happens this whole episode. It is intensely skippable, but of course you can't because you need to meet Lucifer because all the plot is so hastily shoved into each episode. But it does have my favorite joke. In Resident Evil 8, yes I know, we're going a bit off topic, but I'm going to talk about Resident Evil 8. In Resident Evil 8, you do a puzzle where you look at some numbers on some walls. You need to focus a lot because they're a little far away, and right as you're focusing and putting all the numbers together, it spawns a monster just below this window to jump scare you. It's very clever. I didn't have my glasses when I was playing, so I had to actually physically get closer to the monitor just to see, and I was focusing so hard I was in the perfect position to receive this jump scare. It is eloquent. Let's call this principle of putting your audience in the position to receive something, positioning. Let's just say it's good positioning to put the audience in a state of hyperfocus and distraction before a jump scare. So back to Hazbin Hotel. Alistair and Lucifer are singing a song competing over who's the better father figure for Charlie. Again, where are the daddy issues? Lucifer spends this song saying he's going to bring her Michelin star food and so on, so it's more like he's got a daughter complex than she has issues, but putting that aside, they sing at each other about who's the best for ages, and it's not the most boring song, but it's also kind of the most nothing. It's just these two guys singing, and then suddenly...
Sadly, there are times a birth parent is a dud. They say the family you choose is better. What a bunch of losers. Can you run out of my song? Your song? I started this. I'm singing it. I'll finish it. Oh, you tacky piece of...
Yes, it's me.
This random lady enters and she goes, "It's me! Yes, it's me!" And I burst out fucking laughing because it was such a non sequitur and it works so well because it is perfect positioning. Right? The audience has been listening to two men fight, and the song ends with the third character appearing and going, "It's me!" as if you know them when they've never appeared before. You don't know this person. Oh, it's absolute gold. And then this character disappears, leaving Alistair and Lucifer to continue talking to Charlie without ruining the "it's me" joke by, doing something dumb like making this lady stick around the whole episode. Oh no, they're gonna...
Way back, ran in the same circles when we were alive.
This character is Mimsy, the unnecessary lady I mentioned at the start of this video who has no role in the story at all. She comes here to hide from loan sharks because Alistair will fight them for her. She tells us Alistair's backstory that may or may not be true, and does make me wonder about the chronology of why he was fighting TV guys 7 years ago, if he's been around since the 50s, and whatever. At the end, Alistair says, "You used me, go away," and Mimsy gets all pissy about it. They even address the fact that she could stay at the hotel as a client, but Alistair says, "Oh, we know that's not your style. Make it her style. Holy shit, guys, you're the writers. Make her the kind of character to stay at the hotel. Make the loan sharks not dead, and she needs to hide here and become a better person until settling the loan sharks herself without making it Alistair's burden. Just do anything with this character."
Who wrote this?
This is the thing about making a character to serve your story versus making a character that you later introduce to your audience. Until you publish, nothing is set in stone. This character, as they exist, do not properly serve the story, and they need to serve the story. They need to be changed, but they can't be changed, because they're Madrano's special little girl. Mimsy is also animated differently to everybody else. I'm not sure how to explain it, but I think it's because the animator's workflow, doesn't work as well with fat characters? I'm not sure, but after all the criticism of Hazbin having no fat characters, when I first saw that she was part of the episode properly, I went, oh no, they made a character at the very last minute animated badly to show they can do fat characters. But it turns out it's worse, that she's one of these special little OCs from 8 years ago. There's also been people saying that she's an anti-Semitic stereotype. I won't say anything to influence your opinion on that, because I'm not an authority in the area, but I will say I don't disagree. Here's her 8 years ago, here's her now after Hazbin was criticized for not having many Jewish characters. Oh guys, what happened to her nose? Back to the Alistair backstory we were given. The backstory is that he killed people and then broadcasted their screams on radio, like an amateur creepypasta Reddit post. I think it's supposed to be ambiguous if it's true or not, but if it is true, which it's probably going to be true, how does that make sense? He apparently had a popular radio show, enough to compete with TV Guy, but his show was also just screaming? Who's tuning into that? His best friend Jeff the Killer? Husk gives us this lore drop about how they're both on a leash, something Alistair talks about in the final episode. It's an intriguing mystery, but as I said, there's no answer we can garner or anything we can speculate about. We can't say, ooh, what if Alistair signed a deal for the rest of his life with Satan and has his immense power because Satan's his patron, but in exchange, he's trapped within the Alistair persona and he really wants to be a normal guy again who doesn't have to eat dead deer. You know? We can't say that. We can't speculate. We can't say, ooh, what if? Because we don't know anything about this mystery. All we can do is wait, and that isn't a compelling backstory. I mean, hell, Adventure Time does this no sweat. You're losing to Adventure Time. My final note for this episode is that Lucifer is too infrequent to really be a character in the series, but he's not treated like a Chekhov's gun where they meet him here and then he saves them in the finale. He's treated like a character in the cast, but he's got nothing to do. And he's in 2 episodes for like a combined 15 minutes. Ultimately, this is a boring episode with nothing going on. Okay, we are past the halfway mark for the episode summary section. After getting Lucifer's permission to have a meeting in Heaven Court, that's the plot for Charlie, and also Vaggie. You'll notice that Vaggie has not come along before, but this time the plot needs her to be in heaven. She doesn't want to go, she knows if Adam sees her, something very bad will happen because of her backstory, but instead of fighting back for the good of the hotel and their case, she instead just goes, oh, I hope I don't see Adam. Please let this be a normal field trip.
Please let this be a normal field trip with a
Princess of Hell.
No way!
The difference between this and the last time they met with Heaven is before they met with Adam, and this time they're meeting with the Heaven Court and the Seraphim. I won't criticize this for being exactly the same as the other meeting, even though Adam still shows up and he's the one who ruins it, so it's like, why bother, right? But I will criticize it for, why didn't they do this the whole time? Why did Lucifer send them to the Chump Brigade first, not actual Heaven Court who can fucking do anything? Charlie, I can't send you to heaven yet. We don't have a strong enough social link. Quick, go to the embassy instead and waste your fucking time. This random violent person shows up to the hotel. Her name's Cherry Bomb. She's been in, I think, in one other episode before and also the pilot. So you might think, oh great, let's rehabilitate them. But no, they leave after this episode. Of course they do. Of course they do. Nobody gets rehabilitated in this show. Charlie decides while she's gone in heaven, she's gonna get this random person who makes bombs. That's her thing. She makes bombs. This is the perfect person to take her rehab patients out to get drinks. It's literally a plot point in this episode that Heaven watches Angel Dust and sees if he's tempted into being unheavenly, and that source of temptation is this random violent lady Cherry Bomb that Charlie put him with. She endangers their own case and Angel Dust's rehab for no reason. Why'd she do that? Why'd she tell... Oh my gosh.
Angel and his friend are taking you all out for a night of fun and relaxation. Wait, I am only here for Ooh, never mind, let's go! Hey, It's been fucking forever. Here, hold this. Here, take one of these, and you won't be worrying about nothing. And some THC, or maybe PCP with DMT. Oh, fuck it.
Heavenly people, what more do you need to see? The porn star chose a night of debauchery.
If Charlie didn't do this, they'd be in heaven, and they'd be watching him at the hotel, making good decisions. But Charlie jeopardized her own case and risked fucking up Angel Dust's rehabilitation by putting him in a high risk of relapse situation. This show does not understand rehabilitation. In fact, considering that she blew up a wall and originally asked Angel Dust to come do violence with her, how does Charlie know she's actually going to take them out for drinks? How does she know the moment she goes to heaven that the bomb lady isn't just going to go do the bad shit anyway? The morality of what makes somebody a sinner or a good person in hell is a really weird line. So drinking is okay, drugs are dubious, gambling is bad, sex is okay but only in moderation and only before marriage according to Penchas. Debauchery is okay in heaven but it's bad if you do it in hell, and violence is confusingly given multiple perspectives on. The whole subplot for the hotel is them going to different places while Penchas tries to sleep with the bomb-making lady with a fake Australian accent. Nothing major happens unless you count the softest "abuse is bad" quote in the history of anti-abuse media being said to Valentina by Angel Dust. They put it on his Hazbin wiki page. Guys, it's not a good quote, it's weak as hell. In heaven, Vaggie is unimpressed with everything, and we learn it's because she's actually an angel. This is, I think, the first time we're given a twist that isn't just more pointless intrigue. Hooray! Answers! A definitive answer, but unlike the intrigue around Alistair and questions about Husk and Angel Dust, there were never questions that we had about Vaggie. It's a good twist, not counting its poor execution, I'll get to it, but I wish we had a reveal for the characters we have questions for. If Charlie turned out to be secretly dyeing her hair and she's a natural brunette, it would have a similar impact on my thoughts about the show's mystery as the major twist that one of our core characters isn't who they said they were. Here's Vaggie. Here's her when she was an angel. So here she's got, pink kinda angel skin, pure, supreme, you might say. And then they made her not an angel and they took her whiteness away? Guys? Are you sure that's the right move? Everybody in heaven is just like white people. Here's St. Peter in a painting. Here's St. Peter in 5 paintings. Here's St. Peter in Hazbin Hotel. Are you noticing what I'm noticing? This show has a racism problem, and I will get to it when I get to it. The Vaggie twist is also very backwards in my opinion. They reveal it to the audience in a hotel room and not in the courtroom where Charlie finds out. They do this so that during the court scenes you have the added dread of going, oh no, they're going to expose Vaggie. But that's what rewatches are for. The twist would be more impactful during the scene with all the other reveals and twists, not by itself way too early. This is a subjective thing. I won't act like there's objective writing advice I'm giving, but it feels premature. The desired effect of making you sweat about if Vaggie will be outed to Charlie is never used more than once, when Vaggie tries to go to the bathroom to avoid a question. And honestly, Charlie finding out is pretty low stakes. I mean, they kind of fight about it, but I never felt like it was going to be a big deal. And I also am completely uninvested in their chemistry. In this scene, there's writing on the wall, like graffiti, and it just says hell, which is hilarious. That wouldn't be like me tagging my house with my city, because their city is Pentagram City. And it wouldn't be like tagging your country either, because they're on one of the many layers of hell. So that would be like tagging your country. So it's more like if I went out and I tagged a wall with the word Earth, like a total badass. Why'd I say it like that? We're the real monsters. Idiot. No, that's the zombie outside. You are a real. I hope you're dead now. If this show cared about its characters being smart, especially its supposedly witty, tactical soldier person who like 3 times in the show has pretended to be a boot camp sergeant, they would have Vaggie be clever and punish Adam for revealing it earlier. Then there'd be a real use of that earlier, weaker reveal. Here's an example. Since Vaggie knew Adam was going to out her to Charlie, surely Vaggie could do it first, revealing it to the courtroom herself and telling everybody that heaven rewarded her for killing thousands.
One who's killed thousands of her people.
but punished her for sparing a child. Instead, she waits like a duckling, hoping Adam, the loudest motherfucker, keeps his mouth shut. We meet more angels who are supposed to be the very high up seraphim, but these are not incomprehensible beings of starlight. They're just women. They're just women. I can comprehend women just fine. In fact, I love doing it. Also, this seraphim is named Sarah. Guys, there's a huge lack of creativity going into the designs for the angels. The most creative choice behind the angels is multiple pairs of wings, and I'll get to this more when I talk about them in a future section, but there's a fear to angels that they do not capture, despite angels supposedly being the series antagonists. Guys, make the angels scary and build up from there. Don't make this core part of your story last, because it becomes clear that you did it last. They're simply demons with new designs. They're identical to demons, in fact. It feels less like hell versus heaven, and the interesting differences that come with that, and the aesthetic choices, and it feels more like a normal turf war between two neighbors. If Angel Dust's whole character documentation is just the words porn star, gangster, spider, and nothing else, the Seraphim have no design docs and feel written just to fill the hole left by the fact they cannot put God or Jesus in this show because they don't want to cross that taboo. This episode reveals extermination. What we've been told this whole time is the will of heaven. It's actually something secret only Adam does with one of the two Seraphim's permission, but not the other's permission. It's an okay twist, it makes it feel more unfair, like the bloodshed is for nothing. In Heaven Court, they watch Angel Dust to see if he acts rehabilitated. Charlie is proven right in the end, with him fulfilling a list of things Adam says are the reasons somebody should be in heaven, which is a silly joke list, but then one of the Seraphim act like, oh, it's so true, Angel Dust deserves in now. It's disingenuous to act like one person being rehabilitated or not in 6 months represents all of Hell's population with an eternity of effort. But nobody points this out. The court setting is not used for a proper debate or logical character choices, but aesthetics and vibes. Wow, guys, would you believe that Hazbin Hotel isn't using one of its settings to its fullest advantage? Oh, you would believe that? Oh, they constantly do it. This is also the most relevant. The hotel plot has actually been to the main plot, and it's episode 6, and it's Angel Dust at a bar, not even at the hotel.
Who wrote this?
Throughout the series, Angel Dust has gotten focus and characterization and story events, but what's really happened to him to cause him to grow and change from his established flaws? Everything that's happened has been looking at him and observing him, but not showing him changing, not showing that he could change, or having him realize how his mistakes can hurt him or others, or rewarding him for positive change. The story has given him no arc. He has suddenly become a good person. Usually, in a bad story, a single event will make a person's whole character change, and we say that that's failing their character arc because it wasn't really an arc, it was just a very sudden bend. For Angel Dust, it is even worse, because there was no event. Angel Dust has changed almost instantaneously for no established reason. There was no event that forced him to change. Reason number 1 this happened is because the writers messed up because they can't write well. Reason number 2 is just because they ran out of time. I think the most important reason is actually because Angel Dust flaws aren't complex character flaws. They're alcohol, they're sex, they're getting abused. Angel Dust can't stop making sex jokes, or stop drinking, or stop shooting people like a gangster because he's the spider gangster porn star. That's his base characterization, and what he should have as flaws are complex problems. Thinking on some of my favorite characters, does he have an unhealthy attachment? Does he push people away and then resent them for it after? Does he run away from responsibility? Does he have an internal struggle between a desire for one thing and an equal guilt for doing it? Does he have anything as simple as an anger problem or a revenge he can't get over? No, he has nothing. Angel Dust has complex feelings about him getting abused or getting replaced, but no complex flaws inside him. Fundamentally, Angel Dust has no way to grow because he has nothing to grow from. You might think the idea that Angel Dust is an unflawed character is ridiculous. He drinks, he kills people, but so does Charlie, and so do I, except obviously, I don't drink. This all ties into the fact that Medrano can only write one character, and it harms everything else that comes after because of the show's inability to create interesting characters on more than a surface level. Angel Dust is better, and not a sinner anymore according to Heaven, because he magically, with no arc, changed into a maternal figure who doesn't have sex and cleans up after others. Here's a subpoint. Angel Dust has said that he's very tired after 16 hours of his job as a sex worker that day, which involved waterboarding, and has said all he wants to do is nap multiple times.
But I'm too tired. I need to pass out.
Him resisting the temptation to sleep with someone or take drugs isn't a growth moment for him either, because he is, in canon at this point, a big sleepyhead. Par for the course, Angel Dust being non-sinful is him getting abused by Valentino in the club, and not responding in anger. So, more fetishistic depictions of cartoon abuse. Lots of people talk about how Angel Dust isn't a perfect victim, but I think this thing kind of shows that the writers do have in mind that he's supposed to be a perfect victim. That's a bit of a tangent, I'm not going to explain that. If you're plugged into the discourse, you're going to know what I mean, but the fact he could be seen as guilty if he responded angrily makes it disturbing, in a way that the writers did not intend.
I'll admit consent is a good name for a sex club.
Heh. Our writing is so good, and you can tell because we made the smart character say it.
Back in Heaven, we get one of the worst songs that changes genre this many times.
But she was right, Sarah. It's not fair, Sarah. Prove a person deserves a second chance. Mean they can't resolve to change their ways. I'm sure you wish it could be so. What are we even talking about? Some question to be posed. Did you forget that hell is forever?
Down and exterminate you. A man only lives once.
Wait!
Shit.
What are you saying? Let me get this straight. Who didn't know?
Whoops.
I thought since I'm older, it's my load to shoulder. I don't need your condescension. I need the morals you're purveying. That's what the fuck I've been saying. If hell is forever, then heaven must be a lie. The rules are shades of gray. I was told not to trust in angels.
By her?
You see, we've come so close.
Owned you act all high and mighty. An angel just like us.
I personally hate how just one guy singing has an electric guitar behind it. I find that particularly hilarious, but the worst moment is here, where the little seraphim Emily hears one sentence and instantly infers a bunch of information she couldn't have figured out. It's one of the funniest and worst bits of dialogue in the whole show.
Down and exterminate you.
Wait! What are you saying? Let me get this straight. You go down there and kill those poor
Who wrote this?
To balance how bad that line is, they then give us the rawest line in the whole show.
If hell is forever, then heaven must be a lie.
It's just true. It's raw as hell. I love how it mirrors the Hell is Forever song from episode 1. Damn good line, but confusing characterization. This character singing with Charlie is a person in a position of authority, raised from birth to believe in the angels in a supremacist fashion and hate demons, and the first demons she sees her whole life, she instantly believes them and changes to their side, challenging all of her ingrained beliefs in 30 seconds flat. They want the angels to be supremacists, but they just won't commit to that properly, or comment on how this kind of power structure works, especially with Sarah, who is not given the evil angel treatment she deserves to be given. She should be an amazing villain, she deserves to be an amazing villain, and she so easily could be, but she isn't, because the angels are kneecapped by writers who don't know how to make them work. Here's how I would have written this, and I'm not an expert, I'm just providing my opinion. Have this meeting at the very start of the show. Say you need to redeem one person for it to be considered, and then this episode isn't them meeting for the first time, but proving their method works after 5 episodes of rehabilitation. This isn't just better from a writing perspective, but gives a tangible goal. Remember, up until this point, extermination was coming and they had no way to show Heaven they had any successes, so they were just farting around for 6 episodes. They had no idea they were going to have this meeting like 2 days ago. What was their plan? I know I say this every episode, but the hotel is done. There's no more of it from this point onwards. You would think your central premise would be involved in your grand finale, but the grand finale is just going to be a fight because the writers are hack frauds. Sorry, that's mean. The grand finale is just going to be a fight because the writers are 9th graders and the rehabilitation is irrelevant and everyone is allowed to be as violent as possible and the hotel is just a bastion to protect rather than a concept or an idea involved in the plot very much. I'll explain why I think this is a bad finale in the next episode segment, just so we can get through episode 7 very quickly. This episode has Charlie and Baggy implied to be like sleeping in separate beds because Charlie feels betrayed by the angel twist, which is funny. Alistair is up to something spooky, but it is, again, never paid off. Just more endless intrigue and speculation. The whole episode is preparation for the next episode's final battle. We get payoff for the early on reveal that angels are mortal, and the word reveal is in massive font size 45 sarcastic quotes. Like I said in episode 2, I learnt hell thinks angels are immortal in the same moment I learnt that they weren't, but we get payoff for this now. We learn the weapon you can kill them with is angelic weapons, using their own tools against them. That's pretty cool. Every single time a character talks about it, they go, wow, that's so obvious, why didn't I realize this all along? And it really undercuts it. It's like, why are you shitting on your own story? Adam calls it weak. He's like, oh, they're killing us with our own weapons, fucking weak, man. And Vaggie is like, oh wow, oh yeah, we should have guessed the whole time, in a really dry, sarcastic way. It's just bad, you know. You'd think they'd have more confidence in their reveal, because it is like a pretty cool reveal. It's insufferable how they make fun of their own twist. After endless mysteries, we get an answer to a question from episode 2 about how angels are killable, and unlike Vaggie's angel twist, it's got a bit of hype behind it. And then multiple times, characters deride the audience for being entertained by this.
Angelic weapons? It's that simple? How has no one else figured this out? You know I'm an exorcist? How?
You have a giant X over your eye and wield an angelic spear. It's not rocket science.
That's how they can kill us? With our own weapons? Fucking weak, dude!
They want to be Rick and Morty so bad. This is how you write a show when you want the audience to hate you.
They can be killed.
Yeah, that knife lady Camaro car fight killed one.
Wait, you knew about this?
Oh, yeah.
Considering Vaggie had her eye taken out and her wings literally like chopped off by a weapon like this, it's weird that she didn't know angel weapons can harm her. Vaggie literally never noticed that she wasn't hurt until she got friendly fired. She just never made that connection.
Knows how they can be harmed.
But I didn't even know that was possible.
Did they forget while writing that she has a missing eye? What happened here? This is 6 months after episode 1. Can you fathom that? Can you conceive that 6 months have passed while nothing has happened? Watch this show and then each episode between the episodes think about how like it's been 4 weeks between this and the last one. I want to know what's been happening all those months. Is that when they did the hotel plots? Because that's what I want to see. Vaggie goes to get angel weapons and Charlie goes to get an army to wield them. In Charlie's plot, nothing happens except for this bad joke about a woman named Susan. If you've seen it, you'll remember this specifically for being unfunny. She has a song with the arms dealer about like the concept of love. It's irrelevant. Vaggie also doesn't win her debate against this lady, so again, the debates in this show are meaningless, but I'll talk about that in the writing section. To make it dumber, this is actually a follow-up duet, even though they never met, so there's supposed to be history here, but not really, and no leitmotifs to tie them together, but then again, I wasn't listening very hard, and I'm kind of tone deaf, so tell me if I'm wrong in the comments, and this boring song is actually like peak. I love the power of love in fiction, but this isn't it. If you want to see something about the power of love, you should check out my short film Infinite Couplet on my channel. Here's Angel Dust's voice acting in the earlier episodes.
Right. Sex sells, don't it? I swear, if you film me going at it with Mr. Fancy Talk Creepy Voice here, you'd be rolling in participants willing to stay at this tacky hotel.
And here it is now.
Oh, Alistair and Charlie just left like they were running away from their responsibilities. Should we be alarmed? No.
Am I crazy? Did he get worse? Are they paying him less? Is he okay? Just to make you laugh, he's him in the pilot.
Would that make your hat the top and you the bottom?
Charlie is characterized as naive to get away from her flaws, but honestly, I don't think she should be. In this scene, Alistair torments her, and she's aware of that, not naive about it, and I think it's strong characterization. She shouldn't be naive. She should be assertive about her ideas and her ethics and her opinions. For this show, we need a main character who's not such a wet blanket. Boring episode, moving on to the finale. The second half of this episode is the big fight, but the beginning is going for that trope of them celebrating their last day alive and preparing and so on. We might die, but we'll do it together, that kind of thing. It feels premature. I know it's the season finale, but it feels like this should be later in the story because despite being late in the season, it's currently early in the story as a whole. I think this feeling is caused by the insane amount of unresolved plot threads, but also because the stakes just don't feel elevated. So subjectively, the first half of the episode where they're enjoying their possible last night falls flat, subjectively. They have, like, no chemistry. I'm the kind of lesbian to project so many vibes onto couples with barely any chemistry in media. My girlfriend and I headcanon Jake Riles from 2013 teen drama Nowhere Boys as a lesbian. I'm a crazy, delusional lesbian when it comes to media. So often. But the lesbian romance in this is boring as hell. How do you make an angel-demon couple so boring? Holy shit. During this song with Charlie and Vaggie, they sing, "So many lives you've changed" at one point. Which sounds great, you know? I'd love to see all those characters you've helped redeem, Charlie. Where are they? Are you hiding them? During the actual fight, which is the angels against the Hazbin characters, and a small little army they have, not made up of characters we know who are rehabilitated sinners fighting against the supremacist heaven, but instead it's a cannibal gang they hired because they sang really good at them, and we only just met them like half an episode ago. Imagine if Lord of the Rings, instead of getting like the Gondor and Rohan armies all together and they worked out their shit with the elves and they were all working together, they just like paid some guys, you know. The entire fight, it keeps cutting to the TV guy and his V friends to do like, I don't know, reaction shots? They're unnecessary, cringe, embarrassing, and unprofessional, so, you know, basically par for the course for this show. They're also like a solid chunk of this episode. You can search for just the V's part of this episode on YouTube, and it's over like 2 minutes long. So 10% of this episode is just you watching the TV guy go,
Oh, this is gonna be good! Oh, fuck! I am so hard right now! Yes, fuck you, Alistair! This is better than sex! No! Fuck you, pussy!
Well, this just got interesting.
Holy shit.
"Hey, it's me, TV guy. I'm gonna start randomly interrupting the show now." Valentino is also here, just smoking instead of being involved in the story at all. Angel Dust is down there on— nice argument, but actually, sex. Angel Dust is down there on the screen, risking his life, but Valentino isn't gonna try to stop him. Angel Dust is like his property. People are shooting at his property, and he's just gonna let Angel Dust risk his life like that? Yeah, it's cause he's evil. You just don't get it. Velvet is also here. You may remember in episode 2, she wanted to start a war with Heaven, but now she's just sitting here watching. As I said before, you can assume Velvet wanted a war on behalf of the V's, but they're not involved at all either. If they have a reason to fight Heaven and the Extermination Squad, why not go do that now? Why are they cheering for the Angels' victory? It's because the characters are really one-dimensional and only exist to hope the main characters die, but not Angel Dust, but they're also fine with him being there. How can the characters be one-dimensional if it's a two-dimensional show? Checkmate, fag. Alistair and Adam have a fight, which is genuinely cool. I've seen pretty much just praise for this. In a few aspects, it's better than some like B-tier anime fights, and I really wish the show would lean into this angle because it really understands how to make something cool and badass. It excels at this, and it should do more of this, and it's painful seeing brief glimpses of a better show because I could enjoy Alistair and Adam's fight so much more if I felt rewarded by it, if the show surrounding it was good. It's cathartic, but a letdown, because there's just so much lost potential, especially around Alistair, though Adam also has a lost potential because he could be a really cool villain. His villain song, Hell is Forever, is one of the badass moments the show excels at. The feeling I get from this show most of the time is the urge to take these cool ideas they're playing with out of the kiddie pool and try to write a better show about them.
Alistair, pleasure to be meeting you. Quite a pleasure.
Alistair would not be saying this because that's not proper grammar. I know that's nitpicky, right? I bet you're being so glad this whole video isn't being full of nitpicks like that, but it's true. I'd be noticing it every time he'd be saying that in this episode on my rewatches.
And you're... Fuck you, you red piece of fuck...
too much fucking red. Fuck, shut up!
Poetry!
This works, I'm not complaining, but they are like shooting the coolness in the foot for this gag. I like it. I don't hate it. I get it. I'm just tired. I wish it was in a better show. This also happens right before Alistair is beaten.
Radio is fucking dead!
What just happened?
I also like how his voice filter disappears as his power is shattered. I think they should have kept that a bit longer. It's really interesting. And it's great how that choice tells us exactly what happened, that his power is gone. Again, undercutting the coolness because the scene didn't go like this.
Radio is fucking dead!
What just happened?
Have to disagree with you there. Radio's not dead, but it is ending this broadcast.
But like this.
Yes! Fuck you, Alistair! This is better than sex!
Have to disagree with you.
Disagree with what, Alistair? I got distracted by the show purposely anti-climaxing itself. Here's a question about the way angel weapons work. Does angel dust have angel bullets? So one of the main criticisms of this show has been that it overuses cursing, to which I agree. But I like this very casual but expressive use here.
You just chill, dude. Fuck.
Not sure how to describe it, I just thought it's a step up for how it usually uses it, which is to be edgy and loud as opposed to subtle. Adam gets beaten in the end, and this happens because Charlie grabs his hand, not for any particular reason, but I'll explain that last. When he does, we reveal that he's actually another white person. Adam the first human. Adam the first African guy. Guys, Adam was black. He also has these stubby little cartoon hands that match his mask, but not his real big boy face. Look at this guy's face and then look at his hands. Pentious dies anticlimactically as a show of Adam's power. It's very quick and you go, wow, he's so strong. But he then doesn't do this for the entire rest of the fight, and also he kills the only character I had a passing liking for, mostly because he was the only person getting the hotel treatment properly. The episode ends with everybody thinking Alistair is dead and mourning him, a genuinely cool premise on how they could continue with the second season. His magic stick is broken, so maybe he'll go back into hiding, but we'll keep the camera on him to see his side of the story before it joins back with the main crew eventually. No. He's instantly back. They don't blame him for not doing his job, which was killing Adam and making a shield. They're okay with him having run away from the fight, no questions asked. There's, a sequel hook, yet more intrigue about Alistair, but it does work as a sequel hook because it makes me want answers. He says he's on a leash, wants out of his deal, it's intriguing, and it's the most anybody's talked about his real backstory in the show so far. Still though, nothing we can speculate on or think about, just waiting for the backstory to be shown to us. The Alistair stuff is all surface level. Interesting to look at, even cathartic at times, but honestly substanceless. Overall, the episode is fine. It has lots of cool bits, and honestly this show has really good sound design sometimes. And this episode is the pinnacle. Here's some cool moments to just pay attention to the sound.
Fucking over this.
But ultimately, this episode is unrelated to the show's premise, or themes, or rehabilitation. A show which cared about its central premise might have had the rehabilitation turn the tide of battle. They're losing, but then all the people Charlie has helped over the course of the show arrive, and you go, oh wow, I didn't realize her good deeds had affected that background character. And lots of people, maybe 2 or 3 background characters per episode show up, and so the attempts to be a good person in hell motivates other people to be good, and their good moral choices are what win in the end, as opposed to winning being about who can fight better. Okay, this is cliche and tropey, and not what I'm actually saying would have been a better ending, but it would at least stick to its premise. Okay, so at the end they sing about how they're all gonna work together and rebuild the hotel, and it very much sounds like this song to fit this kind of friendship saved us plotline. In the version we got, where they didn't win through friendship but won through the power of intense violence, they should be singing about how building a hotel is pointless and lets you build a brand new garrison with turbo lasers. The way they beat Adam, which causes the rest of the angels to retreat because of the, Sauron trope, is that they're losing and Adam is about to win and beat Lucifer, and then Charlie grabs Adam's hand and he goes, wait, what? And she throws him into the ground. What? The thing that made them win wasn't a character moment, a clever decision, a choice, or overcoming a flaw that lets them beat the flawed villain, or just a badass moment of, wow, they're so clever for figuring out that secret. It's just that he was on 1 HP, and one more hit was needed to take him out. This is fine for goons, but for your big bad, their death needs to have a reason. Not just because you fought good, at least in this kind of story. I'm going to play an example from Sean's critique of Harry Potter. It's going to be about a 2-minute long clip. Sean is a great essay writer and can explain this a lot better than I could.
Would have been a fitting conclusion. But the Harry Potter series we have never earns this ending. None of these themes end up being important at all in Harry's final confrontation with Voldemort. The Centaurs join the final battle not because anything has changed for them, but because Hagrid nags them, basically. The House Elves join the final battle, led by Kreacher, not because anything has changed for them, but because Harry is just such a nice slave owner. And as for Harry and Voldemort, Rowling has them talking primarily about wand mechanics. You see, Voldemort previously couldn't kill Harry because their wands share a core or something, so he sought out the Elder Wand, the most powerful wand in the world, in order to finish Harry off for good. The problem is the Elder Wand will only obey its master, and that isn't the person who's holding it, that's the person who defeated its previous owner. Voldemort thinks he is the master of the wand because he killed Snape, who killed Dumbledore, who was the previous master of the wand. Harry thinks he is the master of the wand because before Dumbledore was killed, he was disarmed by Draco, who was in turn later disarmed by Harry at Malfoy Manor, an event for which the Elder Wand was not present. So, the question is this: does the Elder Wand somehow know that Harry took Draco's wand from him even though it wasn't there? And will the Elder Wand therefore not work when Voldemort uses it to try to cast a killing curse at Harry? And the answer is, of course, who cares? Why is this what Harry and Voldemort are talking about in their final showdown? 7 novels of conflict, and their final fight is decided upon by the inscrutable, just introduced mechanics of a sentient magical stick. They may as well have flipped a coin to decide who wins the final fight.
Sean is completely right. The conclusion has to match the story's progression and themes. Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney is about legal battles. Imagine if its story culminated in a gunfight. Breaking Bad is about Walter's mortality and his relationship with Jesse. So his ending is about his mortality and his relationship with Jesse. Better Call Saul is about Saul cheating, making bad choices, pushing away the people in his life, hiding from the law, and going to court. So the end of Better Call Saul is decided in a courtroom, where he makes a character-driven choice not to cheat, to make the right decision, and to bring a loved one he pushed away back into his life. Could you imagine if Better Call Saul had ended in a gunfight? Or Breaking Bad ended with Walter in court? No, of course not, that would be stupid. In Lord of the Rings, they sort out all these problems in the world before they get the ring in the volcano. They have Rohan aid Gondor, and they have Gimli and Legolas bond, and they all unite, and only then, when the issues and themes are resolved, does the ring reach the volcano. Imagine if they got the ring into Mount Doom before Rohan and Gondor worked their shit out. So Gondor was under the rule of some random guy, and Aragorn never became king, and Rohan had this diseased king. It would just be weird, like nothing really happened. You'd go, wait, this is backwards. So Hazbin Hotel, which bases its whole concept around preventing extermination through rehabilitation and being a good person, ends its show with a Lord of the Rings style battle against the angels before they've actually sorted their shit out with the overlords and their patients and so on. Why did they win against the angels? Because Charlie grabbed Adam when he wasn't expecting it and threw him into the floor. Not because anything in the story actually gave them a narrative reason to win. A disappointing show with a disappointing ending leaves you feeling like you wasted your time. This show sucks, man. Now you understand the plot of the show. Here are some general notes I didn't want to put elsewhere.
Hi, thanks for watching until the end. This project is obviously a little longer than something I usually do. I haven't really shown my face on camera in a few years. As you can see, a lot's changed. This video is a tad long, and I'm up to page 45 of my 89-page script. It was 86 pages when I started editing. I've decided to split this up into 2 different videos, otherwise it would take me twice as long and be twice as long for you to watch and twice as long for you to wait. I started this project the day I watched Hazbin, which was
like basically the day after it finished airing. It came out in batches, and I watched each batch about the day or day after that it came out. So I've been working on this since the finale first aired, and it's been quite a little bit of time since then. So if the second part is going to take as long as this part, I figured I will chop them up into 2 different videos. The next video will specifically cover the writing problems, animation problems, music problems, and the less savory elements of the show. If you're new to the channel, please check out some of my short films like Infinite Couplet and All the Wizards Died. This project has been an absolute pleasure to make, so I'm very excited to finish it, and I really hope you enjoyed. And of course, specialist thanks goes out to my friend North, who watched the whole thing with me, and their art page is in the description of this video, and you should really check it out. With all that being said, I'll see you in 3 more months when I finish the next half of this fucking mess.